So, you're thinking of trading those palm trees for some beautiful pine-covered mountains? Well, you are definitely not alone. But let me tell you, moving from Florida to Tennessee is about way more than just swapping out your license plate. It's about changing how you live, how you budget, and, you won't believe this, even how you build your house. This is your blueprint for getting it all right. And I'm not kidding, this isn't just a small trickle of people. It's become a massive migration. Folks are trading sand for stone and that constant sticky humidity for gorgeous rolling hilltops. And while that dream sounds amazing, you need a solid plan to actually make it a reality. And that's exactly what this is. This is the blueprint. We're going to walk through the financial surprises, the big lifestyle adjustments, and most importantly, some of the critical, and I mean critical, construction mistakes you absolutely have to avoid when you're building your new home in Tennessee. Okay, first things first, let's talk about the big one, money. You're probably moving with the expectation that you're going to save a bunch, right? Well, you are, but the biggest savings might not come from where you think. Let's break down the real numbers. So let's start with what doesn't change, which is actually great news. Both Florida and Tennessee are two of a handful of states that have no state income tax on your wages. That's a huge plus, and it makes the financial side of things so much smoother, especially if you're working remotely. One less thing to worry about. Now, here's where the real savings start to kick in: property taxes. Just look at the difference. Tennessee's effective rate is often nearly half of Florida's. On a typical family home, that difference can mean thousands of dollars right back in your pocket year after year. That adds up fast. And now for the main event, the single biggest financial driver pushing people out of Florida: home insurance. It is an absolute crisis down there, with hurricane risk sending premiums through the roof. Well, get this. In Tennessee, you can pretty easily expect to pay 40 to 50% less. That's not a small discount. That is a fundamental, life-changing shift in your cost of living. All right, so you've saved a ton of money. Fantastic. But can you handle the weather? Moving from Florida to Tennessee means you're signing up for 4 real seasons, and that takes a little bit of a mental adjustment. Let's get into it. Now, let's be super clear. Tennessee summers, they're still hot and humid, but there's a key difference. Florida humidity feels like someone threw a wet, hot blanket over you 24/7. In Tennessee, that humidity often breaks at night, cooling things down. This means you can actually sit on your porch in the evening and enjoy it without feeling like you're in a sauna. And yep, there is winter. But I know when most Floridians hear the word snow, they picture some kind of Arctic blizzard. The reality for most of Tennessee is maybe 2 or 3 really light, beautiful snowfalls a year that look magical and are usually completely melted by the next afternoon. You don't need a snowplow, you just need a good pair of boots and a camera. You know, the most immediate, in-your-face difference you're going to notice? The topography. Florida is famously pancake flat. Tennessee is, well, it's not. And this changes everything. Your daily drive is now a scenic adventure with curves and hills. A simple walk around the neighborhood becomes a legit calf workout. And your view isn't a flat horizon anymore. It's layers upon layers of gorgeous mountain ridges. Okay, now we're getting to the most critical part of this whole guide, especially if you're planning on building a new home. You have to understand this. Building a house in Tennessee is fundamentally different from building in Florida. Getting these details right can save you from making a truly catastrophic mistake. This quote right here says it all. You just cannot take a Florida house plan and plop it down on a piece of land in Tennessee. It won't work. The soil, the slopes, even the gases in the ground demand a completely different approach to construction, and it all starts from the ground up. And it really does all start with the foundation. In Florida, you build on a simple concrete slab, because if you dig down more than a couple feet, you hit water. End of story. But here in Tennessee, we've got sloped land and a frost line to deal with. So that means we use crawl spaces to level a house on a hill, or basements to get the foundation below where the ground freezes. And hey, bonus, you get a ton of cheap extra square footage out of it. Now for a word you probably never, ever thought about in Florida: radon. What is it? It's an invisible, odorless, radioactive gas that comes from the natural breakdown of uranium in the rock and soil. And here in East Tennessee, it's something you have to take very seriously. And I want to be really clear, this is not some fringe 1 in a million issue. We're talking about the standard for the region. The EPA has designated most of East Tennessee as Radon Zone 1, which means it has the highest potential for dangerous levels. So if you're building a home here, dealing with radon isn't an optional upgrade. It is an absolute necessity.
But here's the good news. This problem sounds really scary, right? But this solution is remarkably simple and cheap, if you plan ahead for it. A passive vent pipe, which costs just a few $100s during construction, gets installed under your foundation and safely vents any gas out above your roof line. The key is making sure it's in the plan from day one, because trying to fix this after the house is built is way, way more expensive.
Okay, you've got the finances figured out, you have the blueprints for a safe, Tennessee-proof home. Now, let's talk about the final stretch, the actual move and all the fun little details of getting settled in. So let's run through a quick little checklist. If you're driving a moving truck, please use a low gear on the mountain descents. You will thank me later when your brakes aren't on fire. Heading to the DMV, just bring every single document you've ever owned, but the reward is worth it. Your car tags are super cheap, your utility rates are lower thanks to the TVA, and you'd be surprised how widely available fast fiber internet is. And finally, let's talk about the culture. You see, Florida is the South, for sure. But Tennessee, especially East Tennessee, is the Appalachian South. And that's a whole different world, with its own unique rhythm. This quote just nails it perfectly. Life here operates on what we call mountain time. That fast-paced, always-on, get-it-done-now hustle you might be used to in a big Florida city, it just doesn't work here. You have to learn to slow down, to build real relationships, and just embrace a totally different rhythm of life. Seriously, life just moves at a different speed. The conversation you have with the cashier at the grocery store, it's gonna be longer. People are incredibly friendly, but your reputation in the community really matters. And yes, it's true. People will actually bake you cookies and come over to introduce themselves when you move in. It's all part of the charm. And of course, you're going to be trading your local critters. You no longer have to wonder what might be lurking in every single body of water. Instead, your main concern is going to be a black bear trying to get a free meal out of your garbage can, which, if you ask me, is a pretty fair trade. Just make sure you get a bear-proof can. So, there you have it. That's your blueprint. You understand the financial landscape, you know about the climate, and you've got the critical rules for building the right kind of house. You have the knowledge. The only question left is, are you ready to build a new life on Mountain Time? Because that, right there, is where the real adventure begins.